We've got 22 bottles on the chopping block today. It's another episode of Buy or Pass. Welcome back to another episode of Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and today we've got another Buy or Pass video for you guys. I've got 22 empties, and would I be buying them again? I know some of these are going to be allocated bottles, or at least a lot of them are. So I know at MSRP, a lot of them are going to be buys, but we're going to talk about the realistic values that, I would actually be buying them again at, or if I think they're a pass altogether. First up today is the Wild Turkey 12-year. Now, this is a Japanese release. This is, I think, going to be a buy for me right around that $140 price point. Values on these have been dropping. So I am a huge fan of this juice. I think it reminds me a whole lot of Russell's 13, just proof down to about 101. So anyways, a Wild Turkey 12-year, it's a buy for me. Bottle number 2, this is the Parker's Double Barrel Blend. Now this bottle here is actually one of my favorite pours that I've had. So this is definitely a buy for me, but the price point on these have gotten pretty astronomical these days. So to me, I think this is kind of like a unicorn bottle, very similar to a GTS. So whatever value you're comfortable paying for a GTS, that's kind of where I would put this one. I know secondary values are in the mid sixes for these now. It's a little bit tough of a reach, but if it's a super special bottle, you're only going to get one a year. I think this would be one to reach for me personally. Bottle number 3 is a Michter's 10-year. Now this is the 23A. Everyone knows this is an incredibly special bottle. I have had multiple other Michter's 10s. The 23A is leaps and bounds above those for me. The secondary values on these have been pushing up close to $450, $500. I don't think that's a buy for me at that price point. Back in the day when they were below $4, I think that would be a reasonable price to pay for one of these, given how exceptional the juice is. So this is probably going to be a pass with where current secondary values are. All right, bottle number 5 is an OWA store pick. This is one of those non-chill filters. I thought that this bottle was absolutely fantastic. I've had a few people since I've gotten an Old Rip blind this against the Old Rip, and a lot of people have preferred this over the Old Rip, which kind of surprises me because I was really shocked at how good the Old Rip was. So anyways, if you're lucky enough to find one of these are definitely a buy. I think even if you can get them, in that $130 price point, for how good this juice is, especially since people prefer it to Old Rip, I think these non-chill filter OWA picks are definitely worth reaching for if you can find one. Bottle number 6, this is a Peerless store pick. This is one of their bourbons. This is a Fruity Pebbles store pick. This is one of their distillery picks. If you are ever in Kentucky and you are stopped by the Peerless Distillery, they usually have a couple of different pick offerings there at the gift shop. Highly recommend picking one of these up. They're around that $100 price point, and I think these are phenomenal bottles. So the Peerless Distillery picks, they're buys all day. Bottle number 7 is the Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye. Now, I'm a huge fan of Hard Truth. The Sweet Mash Rye is one of my favorite ryes that I've had down here. This bottle is absolutely fantastic. A lot more of those brighter, candied, sweeter rye profile that I do really enjoy. I think these are about $90. Not going to be immediately replacing this one because they do have a double oaked version of this that I'm probably going to be going for instead of this one. But if you haven't had the Hard Truth Sweet Mash Rye, definitely worth a pickup. Bottle number 7, this is a 375. This is one of their the Jim Beam Campus blends. This is a blend of the Frankfurt, Claremont, and Boston blend. This is unbelievably good. It was very expensive at $110 from the distillery. I'm going to be back there in a couple weeks, and if they have another one of these, I'll definitely be trying it out. So these campus blends that you can get at the Jim Beam gift shop, check them out. They're pretty dang good. Bottle number 9, this is the Abraham Bowman Cash Strength Batch 1. Now, this bottle has been on the shelf for multiple years now. Had to ultimately kill it off. I thoroughly enjoy this bottle. I don't think it's quite the same profile as a GTS. I think the oak on this is a little bit different than that super dark, charry, cinnamon brined oak that you get on the well-aged Buffalo Trace products. This one is a little bit brighter, more apple forward than that cherry oak dominant profile of the GTS. I still think these bottles are absolutely fantastic. Haven't been able to win the lottery for batch 2 and 3, and honestly, I'm not going to be really reaching for one of these. Secondary values are 500 plus for me. It's not really by that price point. If I can win a lottery, yeah, I'll buy this again for $100 all day. Next up is a Russell's 15 year. Now this is my first one that I was able to get, polished it off. This is a phenomenal bottle. Again, one of the best that's graced my shelves. So this is clearly a buy. Secondary values and these are creeping up. So if you can still find one at around $4.50, I think it'd be worth picking one up if you've never had one. If you're going for a second or third, I don't know, but that's a judgment call. But this is definitely one bottle that if you're going to be reaching for, it's worth the reach with where secondary is. Next up, this is a Eagle Rare 17. This is the 2022 release. I know these bottles are favorites of most. I personally wasn't the most impressed by this bottle. I think it is incredible. The oak is very well pronounced, but with where secondary values are, it's absolutely ridiculous. I had a bunch of people come down here and blind this against the regular Eagle Rare. I'd say 80% of the people that blinded it actually chose the 10-year 90 proof Eagle Rare over the 17 101 proof. So, that kind of data doesn't lie. These bottles are really good. I realize a lot of people love them, but this one's probably a pass for me, unless win it in the lottery and can buy it for 130 bucks. Next up is the 1792 Full Proof. This is a store pick. I think the store picks are a buy all day for me around that $60 price point. I'm honestly wouldn't be buying the regular Full Proof just because the picks are so readily available, and to me, they deliver a lot more of an amped up profile, a little bit oak, a little bit darker. Been a big fan of the picks that I've had, so only going to be going after the 1792 Full Proof picks going forward because they're that good. Next up is a Russell's 13 batch 4. Now, by now, I know all of y'all know my affinity for the Russell's line, so yeah, these are a buy. And honestly, you can still get these things for around that $250 price point. So half cost, relative to where the Russell's 15 is. I think these are freaking phenomenal pours. Some of my favorites. I have a bunch of them, and have a few more on the shelf. So these are still even a buy for me at the $250 price point because, I don't want to ever run out of these. Next up is a Flying Ace bourbon. Now this is MGP source. Flying Ace is out of Northern Virginia. This is pretty solid juice, but again, it's just sourced MGP. So at cask strength, it is still pretty good, but I think it's around that 7-year age statement on this. I'm not going to be rushing out to buy another one of these. So I guess you could say this would be a pass, even though the juice is good, but again, just source cask strength MGP. So nothing outrageously special. Is the Old Fitz 19. I've had this one on the shelf for multiple years. A neighbor came over and he was into bourbon, so ended up killing this off with him, so that was a great night. Happy to be able to share this pour with so many people. For me, the Old Fitz 19 is by far my favorite of the line. I had some friends down comparing the Old Fitz 19 to the VVS last night, and a lot of people preferred the Old Fitz 19 over the VVS. So again, these are around that $600 price point on secondary. I don't know, that's still pretty steep, but if you can bundle a trade together and have a lower cost, in terms of the bottles you're trading, I think the Old Fitz 19 is an awesome bottle. I already have another one, yeah, it's fantastic. Next up is the 2023 George T Stagg. This was my very first Stag that I owned myself, and honestly wasn't wildly impressed by this one. I thought the oak was a little bit overbearing, and I thought it leaded on the astringency side of the thing. So the 23 GTS for me would be a pass. I have the 24, really enjoyed that one, and I also have the 2018 and love that one as well. But the 23 just kind of missed the mark for me a little bit because that oak was a little bit more astringent and bitter on the back, that it just kind of had a funky finish. So yeah, probably passing on the 23. Next up is the Calumet Farm 16 year. Now this is a phenomenal bottle in my opinion. I love Barton juice, and getting to taste essentially 16 year 1792 is amazing. Comes in, I think this is 106 proof, fantastic bottle. You can get these online for around like 120, 125 bucks. So for me, they're a buy at 125. Virginia sells these and the ABC for like 165. That's a pass for me because you can get them cheaper online. Next up is the Parker's. This is their heavy char wheat. I actually think this bottle offers a very unique profile. You get a lot more, you know, nutty peanut butter flavors on this, and that char kind of amps up like the caramel. So you kind of get like a caramel, like butterscotch toffee, you know, a note on this bottle, which I thoroughly dig. Yeah, these are pretty expensive these days because this is an old release. But if you're looking for something unique that definitely tastes different, you know, I think this is a great bottle to go for. You know, you do get a lot of the oak influence. So, you know, around that $500 price point, you know, it's about where you could get one. I don't know if I would, I don't know. I would probably try to trade for one of these versus spend the money because, you know, I think there are other bottles I'd rather have for 500 bucks. Next up is a Weller 12-year. Now, I know this is a very polarizing bottle as well. You know, again, this, you know, like $120 or under, I would probably replace this one strictly because it's my best friend's favorite pour, and I always want to have one down here for him. So that's kind of my main draw to always have this bottle. You know, if it wasn't for my friends enjoying this so much, I probably wouldn't be chasing it. But, you know, because, you know, bourbon's for the boys, so I would be buying another one of these around 120 bucks. Next up is the Four Roses single barrel strengths. Now, these bottles are phenomenal. I personally think that they're buys for me, you know, around that $110, $120 price point. You can tell on the label what tiers they are. This is a tier 2. So if you can get one of those tier 5s or tier 6s, those are definitely going to be the ones you would want to go for. I've had a bunch of these, so now I'm just kind of chasing those higher tiers at this point to kind of get that richer profile. Those higher tiers are not going to be as high of age, so they're only going to be around those like 9-year age statements. There's like 9 year, 9 months. So that's a good way to kind of delineate between, you know, what tier it might be if you're looking at them offline. So the younger the age statements, you know, usually mean a higher tier. So this one is a tier 2 on the label here. Anyways, these are fantastic bottles, great for that 120 and under. Next up is the Heavy Char Bourbon. Now, this is a very polarizing bottle as well because I know that a lot of people consider this to be some of the best bourbon they've ever had. I do think this bottle is very good. I do prefer the double barrel, so the purple label, to the Heavy Char. Probably not going to be replacing one of these. They're just far too expensive these days, and I don't think the juice is like all that in a bag of chips to warrant, you know, $700 or even trading a GTS for one of these. So this is probably going to be a pass for me, although it is very good. The last bottle tonight is the 13th Colony Double Oaked. I was only able to get a portion of this bottle, but man, is it good. Like that, like it just, you get such a strong oak influence. That like caramel butterscotch profile is so strong in this bottle. You know, comes in, you know, just below hazmat. I freaking love these. You know, you can find a deal on these every now and again for closer to 400 bucks. So I don't know, like I really like this bottle. I didn't quite drink it as fast as I thought I would, but you know, I would like to have another one of these, you know, just to have, I guess, you know, around that under $400, I'd probably strike on one of these. I realize that's kind of hard to find, but you know, you look hard enough, you might be able to get one. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you have, would you please consider giving me a like? Would you please consider subscribing? And as always, my name's Tanner. This is Neat Bourbon. And pop the bottles and share the pours, and we'll see you in the next one.